Gun 2.5. The Smell of Fear.
Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Camp, and I finally watched The Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear. This was directed once again by David Zucker and sees the return of Leslie Nielsen, George Kennedy, O.J. Simpson, and Priscilla Presley, while seeing the debuts of Robert Goulet and Richard Griffiths. This is the sequel to the original The Naked Gun, and it sees Lieutenant Drebin in Washington, D.C., trying to foil a plan by, well, let's just call it Big Oil. Well, Big Oil and fossil fuel companies, but I'll just use Big Oil as a catch-all. Big Oil, with some very silly names for companies, want to leverage the presidency in order to benefit themselves and kidnap a famous scientist named Dr. Meinheimer, played by Richard Griffiths, in order to use him as a puppet to get what they want. The first Naked Gun was so funny that I just can't imagine anything afterwards being any better than that. And I can safely say that The Naked Gun 2.5 is a step down from the original. I can safely say also that the movie is still very funny. Like, I laughed quite a bit in this one. Not as good as the first one, but still very enjoyable. Leslie Nielsen, as per usual, is bang on in this role. Really, the first 5 minutes where he's in the White House with George H.W. Bush and his wife Barbara, and just everything that happens to poor Barbara Bush is just worth the price of admission alone. O.J. Simpson gets a cactus to his junk and gets dragged by a bus to Detroit. I'm not entirely sure which of those fates is worse. I'll let you decide. And there's an insane joke in which Lieutenant Drebin kills someone in in a hallway in a hotel, which just leads to an amazing joke where Priscilla Presley's character is like, "What happened?" He's like, "I don't know, but don't go out there until the carpets are shampooed."
What happened out there?
But if I were you, I wouldn't leave until they've had a chance to shampoo the carpets.
Richard Griffiths is famous for my generation as being Uncle Vernon in the Harry Potter films. He's also in an underrated comedy called King Ralph that I really enjoy, and here he is really good. He has to play the very boring scientist Dr. Meinheimer while also playing the guy who is replacing him, his doppelganger, and he does a really good job. I think the weakest link of the movie is Robert Goulet. I feel like he just plays a generic big oil guy. I don't know. I feel like there could have been way more comedy with someone like that, especially when he represents like himself and his fellow big oil people. They represent companies that with acronyms that spell out spill and kaboom. Surely there could be more done with that. There's even a reference to the Exxon Valdez, which I, as a connoisseur of the finest cinema, Waterworld, I understood that reference. I feel like just with the humor, there's a little bit less subtle humor here, where in The Naked Gun there's jokes both large and small. Here, the jokes are bigger, and I don't think they always work all of the time. But I still can't go out of my way to say that this is a bad or an unfunny movie. It's actually a really funny movie in quite a few places, just not as consistently funny as the original. I'm going to give this one a great rating. Again, it's a step down, but not too much. The movie's still very enjoyable, and for a sequel to a very funny movie like The Naked Gun, I was expecting the drop in quality to be way sharper, and I am pleasantly surprised to say that the quality is noticeably dipping, but not to hamper the overall enjoyment. The movie is still very funny, like in quite a few places. But I pass it off to all of you. What did you think of The Naked Gun 2.5? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read what you have to say. And stay tuned. Next up, I will be covering the final Naked Gun movie for a few decades or so, The Naked Gun 33 and a Third, The Final Insult. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.